let's jump into the topic for this week, which is little improvement goals. So if you used my planner, the Goals with Laken planner that I launched, or you've used my freebie on my, is the freebie on my website? I'll link it if you haven't used it. The freebie is about figuring out what your goals are. There's a video training and a download. Anyways, one of the questions I ask are, what are some little improvements that you want to make in your day-to-day life? And I know that some of you reached out to me in December that you struggled answering this question. So I'm making a video via live about that, how to actually figure out what these little improvement goals are. Goals, AKA goals that are actually going to change your life. Not that big giant goals aren't going to change your life, but what I want you to remember is that goals do not have to be huge changes. I think I meant these, not this. Huge changes or big giant dreams to impact your life. Like, those goals are awesome. And spoiler alert, next week we're going to talk about big goals and big dreams and breaking those down. And when I'm talking about big things, I mean like multi-year goals, quitting your job, writing a book, buying a house, like those kinds of things. Those are awesome. And those obviously impact your life. But those little improvement goals to your day-to-day life also, if not more so, can have a really, really big impact. So that is what we're going to talk today. I'm going to give you 3 questions, exercises, things to think about when you are trying to figure out what these little improvement goals are. So the first one is an exercise I've talked about before that I love, and that is your ideal day. So what would be your ideal day? In this component of it, it is, what is your ideal day in the current status of your life? So being realistic. Obviously, it is fun to like daydream about your ideal day where you like sleep in and have brunch and go to the pool and go to a Broadway show. That's just me. That's my ideal day. I am talking about, there are no major changes to your living situation, your job, etc. What does your ideal day look like? So some things to think about. Just go throughout your day. So you start with the morning. What time do you wake up? Your ideal day, right? If you are not a morning person, don't tell me that your ideal day starts at 4 a.m. because it does not. Even as a morning person, the alarm, it cannot have a 4 unless I'm going to the airport. 5 something is going to be the earliest I'm going to get out of bed. And I am a morning person. So in your ideal day, what time do you get up? What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? What do you eat for breakfast? Do you even eat breakfast? Who else is awake when this event is going on? Do you commute to work? If so, what do you do during the commute? How does the morning feel overall? Now, I am not telling you, and we go through any of these questions, that you're going to make this list and like wake up tomorrow and start doing this. No. This is just for you to envision the ideal state. The other thing I want you to remember as we go through this, you are allowed to change your mind. So you might think that your ideal day looks a certain way or feels a certain way. And then when you actually try that, it may not work. And that's okay. Given what you know now, given the information that you have in front of you, what does your ideal morning look like? Next up is the daytime. What does your daytime look like? Again, we're not changing our job in this ideal day. So given your current state of your current job, whether that's working at home, working in an office, being a teacher, being a stay-at-home mom, whatever your daytime looks like, your daytime job, when do you take breaks? I actually had originally typed, do you take breaks? No, you do take breaks. When do you take them? When do you take breaks? When do you eat lunch? You need to eat lunch. Like lunch. Do you eat breakfast is still a question, because I know a lot of people will do some sort of fasting, or you don't want to eat till you're hungry. But like lunch, like you need to eat something at some point. When do you eat lunch? How do you want to feel during the day? Like, how do you normally feel during the day? How do you want to feel during the day? And this is also one of these questions when we're talking about feelings. Sometimes it can be easier to think of the negative. I don't want to feel X. If that's easier for you and you want to start there, and then try to find the positive. Try to flip it around and figure out what the positive is. Next up is your evening. So this is like transitioning from the daytime to the nighttime. So what do you do on your commute home? If you have a commute home, if you don't have a commute, do you want to make a commute? Like, do you want to have a transition between the end of your workday and the beginning of your evening? What's for dinner? Is dinner already prepped, or is it just planned? Do you have a set where you're like, this is the meal we're cooking on Tuesday? Or do you have like, these are the 4 meals we're cooking this week and you get to pick day by day? What does that look like? Is somebody else cooking dinner for you? What does dinner look like? Who are you spending time with in the evenings? Do you need a little bit of alone time? Do you need people because you were alone all day? What does that look like? What are the vibes? Like, what does that evening feel like to you? What do you need to, turn the lights down, maybe light a candle, like make it feel a little bit more calming after a busy day at work? This is also one of those activities that I want you to take off the I do it this way because it's always been done that way hat. That's like, was one of my biggest pet peeves working corporate. It's like, well, this is how it's always been done. Okay. That doesn't mean we have to keep doing it that way, right? So even if how it's always been done is that you come home and you immediately jump into cooking dinner and your family eats dinner at 6. Okay, well, maybe you decide that you need like 15 minutes of a buffer to be able to do something. You do that something, and then dinner's now at 6:15. I know that that's not always feasible. And again, we're thinking about our current season of life. So maybe that's not even possible. Maybe you get home and you immediately change clothes and you're carting kids around to activities all evening, right? Or maybe you get home and you're immediately into bath and bedtime for your little ones. Like, even your current season, what does it look like? And then do this activity at a later date when there's a transition. And then, of course, the nighttime. What do you do before bed? What time do you go to bed? What time do you get in bed? And then what time do you fall asleep? Because for most of us, those are two very different times. I have finally understood the concept. And I know some of you have been telling me this for years. The like doom scrolling in bed where you like get in bed and you know it's time to go to sleep, but you sit and scroll on your phone. I actually used to not do that. Like that. I was like, I get in bed and I go to sleep. But that was before I spent most of my day caring for somebody else. And now I do sit there and scroll way past. I know I'm like, she's asleep. I should be asleep. And I scroll instead. So what does that ideal look like? Maybe I don't scroll 0. Like, we're not necessarily going to the extreme of like nothing. Maybe it's I scroll for 5 minutes and then I put my phone away and I turn on my audiobook. How do you make sure you get quality sleep? Notice I didn't say quantity. If quantity sleep is a goal for you, awesome. For some of us, that's not a goal right now. It's not something that is completely within my control, so I'm not focused on it, but I am trying to focus on my quality of sleep, so the sleep I do get is better. So that's the ideal day activity. Again, the keys here are given you're not making any giant life changes. You're not changing your job. You're not moving. You're not having kids in a different season of life. Given where you're at right now, what does that ideal day look like? And what are the little changes that you could make to get there? Because once again, I'm not saying you're going to wake up tomorrow and start living this day, because you're not. But let's say you currently get up at 6 and you are like, I would really like to get up at 5:30 so that I have 30 minutes to myself to drink coffee before anybody else gets out of bed and read a book for 20 minutes. Maybe you start inching your way back. So next month, you set a goal to wake up at 5:50 and you just do 10 minutes. And then the next week you set a goal to wake up, or next month at 5:40, and you work your way back. That is what I'm getting at, those little tiny improvements. So the next question or activity to ask yourself, number 2, is what are the little frustrations that pop up throughout your day? Like regularly, not one-time frustrations. Obviously, if like a one-time frustration happens, it happens, and you can't goal your way out of that one. But what are the little things? Like, is it waking up to a sink full of dishes? Is it sitting in traffic on your way home? I know my mom, when we used to live in the suburbs and she would commute to the city, my mom preferred to drive than take the train. And she realized that if she just left 30 minutes earlier, she would not have to deal with any traffic. And yes, in the morning, it's like I'm sacrificing those 30 minutes in the morning with my kids, but it would take her half the time to drive into the city to get to work. And then she was able to leave earlier and get home and spend time with us in the evenings. Little tiny changes like that, that's going to make a big difference. So just sitting in traffic, is that a little frustration? And then ask yourself, what is a small tweak or a small change I could make to help with that? And then the last one is when you find yourself saying, today was a good day. Like, if somebody asks you at the end of the day, how was your day? And you say, it was a good day. What happened? What did that day look like? What are the things that happen that day that make you say it was a good day? Now, again, just like the frustrations, there's going to be little things that happen that you can't goal into, right? It's either A, with not in your control, or B, was a one-time thing that happened that was awesome. That's great. But when you answer that question, that today was a good day, what are the little things that you could goal into that made it a good day? I didn't hit any traffic on the way to work. Dinner was already prepped and ready to go. What are the little things that you find yourself saying when you answer the question, today was a good day? The last thing I'm going to say, and then I'll get over to the comments. Do not compare. This is your life. These are the things that matter to you. I have obviously been on a Lazy Genius kick reading The Lazy Genius Kitchen. And if you saw my Instagram stories, watching her YouTube series about the Lazy Genius Kitchen, and every time she starts with what matters to you, what matters to you. And everybody has a different priority. It's amazing. All of us can live lives that we love and have different priorities. What matters to you? So you cannot compare what somebody else wants to do with their life or their day or their etc. to yours. This is individual to your life and what is important to you. So we're letting go of our comparison habit.